Hey, it's me, Rosie, and I am back with another sexy tip. Things are feeling heavy in the world right now. So, for this week, my sexy tip is to enliven your sensuality. Right now in the world, at least here in Canada, North America, we are heading into the darkness. We are getting darker and darker every day. Our ability to be outside is lessened. It's rainy or it's snowy. And it's hard to feel sensual without that sun beating down on your skin when you have layers of clothing on. So I think that it's so important right now to really get into how you create sensual pleasure in your life. Now, I'm not talking about sexual pleasure because I love that pleasure too, but I'm talking about sensual pleasure. So utilizing your five senses so that you can get more deeply present into your body and you can be here for this thing we call life. The roller coaster of it, whether you're on the high track or you're on the low, because we all do all parts. We can't escape any of the parts, really. We're all born, we all die at the end, and then in between we have this thing called life. So we might as well be present for it, and we might as well really engage in it. So bringing your five senses on board. So what are you going to do to really enliven your sense of sight? For me, that means having a beautiful space. I've just moved into a new place. I don't have many tantric spaces set up, but little by little, I'm creating tantric spaces throughout my house. I at least have a couple of altars set up, so I have something of beauty to look at, right? So how are you creating beauty so that you can, when you are looking, you are being met by something that's going to enliven you? What about taste? What are you bringing for your sense of taste into your world? Now, this can be healthy. A lot of us through COVID have been really engaging this sense because this is about nourishing, this is about sustenance. And when we get scared, it's not unusual to go overboard with the sense of taste. But you can start to get really honed in on what is beautiful. I went out for dinner. I had this miraculous night before things got closed down again with a friend, and we got to go out for dinner and a show, and we ate these bacon wrapped dates, which were amazing. And we just had like one each, but that was enough to really engage that sense of taste. So go out and buy yourself some amazing chocolate or get that really expensive, beautiful bottle of wine or scotch and engage that taste consciously and be present for it. So don't be talking to people, don't be watching TV. Eat, put something in your mouth, enjoy it, sit with it, allow it to really give you the nutrients and also the nurturing it has for you. Okay, let's move up to our sense of smell. This is a big one for me. I am burning incense in my house all the time. Every day I wake up and I go to my altars and I light one huge beautiful scented candle at one altar, and at the other altar I light candles and incense. And this really brings me into the world. And then I go and I cook breakfast, and right now I'm cooking like just apples and cinnamon. Apples and pears and cinnamon and a few nuts. That's my breakfast. It's like an Ayurvedic thing. But man, does that awaken me and enliven me to be here. So what are you doing for your sense of smell? Okay, and we're going to talk about our also hearing, right? What are we bringing into our auditory world? Are you listening to music? I forgot. I've just been listening to podcasts like most of the year. Discovered music again in like October. And this is like, I sing, like I'm a jazz singer. I do this thing often for a living. And I was like, music kind of went out the window for me. And then September, October, I was like, oh yeah, music. So bringing something that's going to enliven that sense back into your world, right? Something gorgeous that is a playlist or that is sounds of nature or just going out into nature, taking a hike and taking in all the senses. And then the last one we're going to talk about is touch. So man, we are starved for touch right now. I am very lucky that I have a daughter who's incredibly tactile, so I get touch there. I have a couple of friends who we either link arms we're in still the bubble together, and I have touch from both of them, and a son who hugs me once in a while, and that's my little pod. But even with that, I am really starved for touch. So getting into self-massage, right? Getting into giving yourself a deep massage every day, rubbing your body with oil or lotion, really getting into, and I have totally gone overboard with this. I think I've bought 4 new cashmere sweaters. Three cashmere sweaters and a cozy one, and a fuzzy cozy one. But things that are tactile, really starting to bring that back into your life, if it's not in your life right now, to meet that need for touch, which is what we're having to do on our own right now. And if you are so lucky to have a partner or to have a loved one that you can play with, think about setting up sensual dates with them every week. We need this at least once a week. And give, this is how we train our partners. This is a little sneaky trick, is that you communicate that this is what you love, and then you set it up for them. You give them that sensual experience, that total sensual experience, and you train them how to create it, and then you say, next week's my turn. So how are you going to do this for me next week? And you can switch back and forth and really explore which senses you easily gravitate towards, which ones you often avoid, and start to, deepen all of them. So that's my sexy tip for this week, which is enliven your senses. You deserve it. We need it. We desperately need it. You can give it to yourself, or if you're so lucky, give it to your loved one. And even in that can be a completely non-sexual way, that you give it to your children, that you give it to your parents. You have baking, and you can pass that along. My mom and I are planning to exchange baking through this Christmas year, because we're not going to be able to see each other, even though we live in the same city. We're not in the same bubbles, and my stepfather's quite ill. So instead, we're going to be exchanging baking. I'm going to make sure it's really fragrant and filled with love and aesthetically pleasing, so that when they open it up, it's enlivening some of those senses, right? This is something so important that we do right now. So that's my sexy tip, guys. It's like for every aspect of your life, not just your sex life, but it's certainly going to boost your sex life too. Okay, I love you. I'll see you next week.